It's always really hard when someone's life ends, in general, let alone when it ends at their own hand, because that is something that is 100% preventable, but it's nobody's fault. He made that choice. I very well hope that none of his close family and friends, none of them are blaming themselves, which they probably are, because honestly that's how it works. When a loved one, a family member, a friend commits suicide, everybody close to them blames themselves. You can't help it. I hope anybody who happened to be close to Chester, if they're seeing this, I don't think they will, but if they do happen to see this, you know, I'm sure it's been said to you, but it's not your fault. There is no way that you could have known. It's especially hard when the person isn't showing any sort of signs of it. People think that people who are suicidal are super like down and obvious about it and are like, ooh, woe is me and all this stuff. So they think that someone who's going to commit suicide is going to be like that. And that's the reason why it slips by people, because the people who do commit suicide always are having like a smile on their face or are joking around all the time. So it's nobody's fault when something like that happens, and you shouldn't blame yourself, even though I know they are going to blame themselves for what Chester did. If you know some of his background, you know he didn't have a great younger years that probably carried on with him into an adulthood. On top of, you know, depression. Depression is a silent killer. You could be so happy and have the best life and have everything that you wanted, but if you have depression, that doesn't matter. And from the sounds of it, he was dealing with a lot. I feel that suicide needs to be talked about in general, but especially when someone with such a huge audience commits suicide, I feel like this is a really, really, really critical time to be talking about it, because they're so influential. The wide audience, so other people who have these feelings, who have suicidal thoughts, and are struggling with what he struggled with, they might look at this and be like, wow, this person that I idolize, who's living the rock star life, committed suicide. Why should I stay? If this person that I looked up to doesn't think it's worth staying. You know, that might be what some people are thinking. Obviously, I can't speak for everyone, but I'm sure there's a few people who were a fan of his having those thoughts right now. If you are a fan of theirs that is struggling with those thoughts and those feelings, or if you are a person in general who has been struggling with those thoughts and feelings, this is probably going to sound so cliche, but it is the truth. It gets better, and you are worth living. You are put in this world for a reason. You might not know that reason until later in life, but you're put on this world for a purpose. Every single person on this planet has worth. Nobody is worthless. You matter. Whether you think so or not, it's the truth. You matter. And taking your life solves nothing. And in my opinion, it makes everything worse. All it does is hurt the people who love you, and you might not even realize how many people love you. You might not realize how much you will be missed. How much you matter. You do matter. I mean, a lot of people commit suicide because it's pain. No matter how much pain you're in, there's always a way to seek help, and it always passes. And I know a lot of people who have these thoughts are suffering from whatever reason. Just know that pain, that suffering, that feeling of worthlessness, it passes. Sometimes you'll have that feeling for a while, but it will go away. Because life is worth living. I know sometimes it feels pointless. I'm not gonna lie, I've had thoughts like this myself. I have been in the position that Chester was in before. So I know how clouded your mind is and how you can't see past the fog of negativity. But give it time. This too shall pass. If you are able to get therapy, get therapy. And you have to want the help. I know a lot of people are like, oh, therapy doesn't work. It does if you let it work. If you want the help, therapy does work, and you have to find the right therapist. Don't feel bad if you have to jumble through therapists and switch therapists before you find one that you really vibe with and connect with, because that's a very important thing. And if you are in a position where you cannot get a therapist, just talk to someone. Talking it out can help so much. And find somebody who's very receptive, good listener, good advice giver, because some people just, they're not great at giving advice, and they're not great at being receptive, and they're not great at empathy. You want someone who has great empathy and listening skills. Journaling helps so much. It really does. Like, you're upset about whatever, you're having whatever thoughts, you write it out and it like gets it out of you. And it's very helpful. So that's something I also recommend, is journaling and talk to somebody who's very receptive. That's my advice is for if you can't get therapist. Otherwise, definitely get into therapy if you can. It will help so much, and this life is worth living. Like I said, no one is worthless. This next part here that I'm going to get into, like I don't want anyone watching this to think I'm trying to get all religious or anything like that. I'm not. I just feel that maybe sharing my perspective might help others, just because of a lot of things that I've seen people argue when it comes to certain stuff. And I'm not trying to shove my beliefs down anyone's throat, anything like that. I completely respect different opinions, different beliefs, different religions. I completely respect you. I'm not bashing any religions. I'm not trying to shove my views down anyone's throat. I just feel that maybe this perspective will help in some sort of way. I believe that when you are in heaven, you plan your life, the good and the bad, and then you are here to experience that life. And when it's over, you go back to heaven and you give that experience to God, because they can't feel it themselves, so they have to feel it through us. I know that probably sounded like a lot of crazy mumbo jumbo there, but that's my beliefs. That's what I talk to people when they say, if there's a God, why would God let such horrible things happen? Why would God let me suffer like this? And it's not that there isn't a God, it's just that you are meant to have the bad experience, because it doesn't matter being good or bad, it's just an experience to have, to grow, to share with your higher power. And that's why we're here. We're here to experience life. We are here to live life and experience and bring this back to our higher powers. That's why that God allows these bad things to happen, and why people suffer, because you're meant to. Like, that sounds probably kind of like crazy or whatever. I hope that maybe having that perspective will help in some way. Like I said, I wasn't trying to get all like religious up in this video. I just thought maybe that is something to think about if you are struggling with that, because I know that sometimes that's a thing people struggle with. Why live life if there's a God? They must not care about me because they're letting me suffer. But to me, that's not the case. And I don't know, I just felt like maybe that would help a little bit, especially for people who are like, why do I exist? Like, what's the point? Like, I have no worth. And that's why I say, yes, you do. Because in my beliefs, everyone is here to experience life. So yes, you do have a purpose. You are here literally to live life. Even if it's bad, which is very unfortunate when experiences are bad. I'm very sorry for anybody who is suffering and having bad in their life. I've went through the bad in my life. I have bad in my life now. But it passes. It always passes. Bad is never forever. Even if it goes on for a while, it will pass. I guarantee it will eventually pass. And you just gotta hang on. You just gotta hang on. Please, if you're having these thoughts and feelings, please, please, please talk to someone. Go to therapy. In fact, not even just like talking to a family member. Maybe you don't want to talk to a family member. There are hundreds of different suicide hotlines of people who will talk to you and listen to you. So if you feel like you don't have anybody to listen to, there's plenty of numbers you can call, or sites, chat rooms, anonymous chat rooms, stuff like that. There's plenty of ways to get help and to talk to somebody. Anything but take your own life. I have no clue how to end this video. I'm so sorry. I don't know how to close off this video properly, but just know that you are important and you are loved.